Good evening, Book War community. I'm sitting here holding our feminist book club mug that I am using this evening. As I wait for my beloved sister to pop on, and for Instagram to tell you guys that we are here. If you want to join and hear a little bit about how the feminist book club readathon went for us. This was our first year joining. It's not totally done yet. We still have the rest of Sunday night. Not sure what Hattie's plans are. Mine involves tacos. So yeah, we'll just kind of wait and hang for sis. If you have been reading anything that you really love right now, or anything you really hate, that's fine too. Let us know. Feel free to share, but grab a beverage of your choice, warm, cold, fun, boring. Water's good for you all the time. Mine is not water tonight. Let's see if Hattie is around yet. Nope. She'll be here, I'm sure. But it has been a fun weekend of books, like for me anyway. And I'm sure it has been for Hattie too, but hopefully, folks have been having a good time and enjoying the weekend. We had halfway decent weather here in Minnesota for the weekend. It was sunny. My husband took he sent me a picture earlier today of our boys and our boys out having of snow on the ground. Yes, there is. Did they still have a bonfire and eat s'mores this afternoon? Yes, they did. Hey, sis.
Hey, how you doing? I gotta move my camera a little bit here so you can see the top part of my head. There we go. There's the top part of my head.
I know. I had to move mine too. It's like every time I set it all up, and then it's like I don't know why I do this, because as soon as we both are on, it always has to get shifted.
It changes. Like, oh, gotta move it. Anyway, yeah, I do the same thing. Whatever. Who cares?
Anyway, it's what we do. We do. Hey, sis, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I am drinking out of our mug. I do call it ours. It's joint owned. But I am currently drinking a pre-made Manhattan.
Ooh. And how is that?
You know what? It's pretty good. So I looked because I knew you were going to ask me about this. But it's from High West.
Okay.
Whose whiskey I do enjoy, whose bourbon I've had. And they had these pre-made Manhattans and old fashions, like, just in a thingy. And so I bought the Manhattan, and I put it in my freezer. And, I've had really delicious Manhattan. So it's like it's not bar level, like
one you ever had, but.
Right. But it is definitely hits the spot when you just want to have a whiskey-based drink that's not pure which isn't neat, which is how I drink my whiskey bourbon, or in a Manhattan or an old fashioned. Those are my drinks. Those are my drinks.
I love that. And I was actually going to ask you, I don't even know, have you been seeing, and this is why, because sometimes, and I know you know this, but sometimes when I drink alcohol, it will trigger a migraine for me.
Oh.
But I've been seeing all in January, because I guess doing a dry January is a thing. So all January I'm seeing tons of different ads for companies that sell cocktails, but they're non-alcoholic things. And I'm I feel like maybe I'm gonna try that at some point just to see, because then I wouldn't have to deal with the headache part afterwards.
You really should. And Hattie, I was even going to tell you, I don't know if gin, because I know you do gin and tonics on Friday night. They have non-alcoholic gins now.
I'm gonna just check this stuff out a little bit, do a little digging and see if it's worth.
It's a whole thing now, and I think they're pretty good. Some of them are really quite accurate on taste, from my understanding. It's new, but not new. It's been around for a couple of years, this whole kind of mocktail, non-alcoholic cocktail thing. So yeah, I bet you would.
Yeah. I think I might just test one out, just to see what, how it is, because it's I do love my gin and tonics. I love an old fashioned. Like I love all
Right.
that stuff, but I really like when I wake up the next day and I've got like this migraine. It's like, okay,
It's not worth it.
Was that worth it?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know?
Yeah. They don't trigger migraines for me.
Yeah.
And I actually, as I've gotten older, so this is some random conversation.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, hard liquor goes through my body much nicer and much cleaner than, particularly if I'm going to get a little tipsy or drunk.
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah.
Wine anymore? Oof. I love a glass of wine, like a good glass of red with a beautiful steak. I mean, I can't go wrong with that. Or a beautiful glass of white with a lovely fish dish. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. But yeah, if I'm gonna but this is also why and you can have a cocktail, and like this is why I like whiskey cocktails, is because like you can have one and you're gonna sip it for like 3 hours, just 2 to 3 hours. You can.
You can.
And it's gonna taste just as good at the beginning as it does at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't drink a lot of beer or wine anymore.
Yeah.
I got old and my body doesn't like them as much.
Doesn't like it, yeah. I mean, I was never really a beer drinker. I'll drink like a beer.
Yeah.
Every once
like with some wings. I like a beer with wings or some pizza. I like a good beer with pizza.
I used to drink more wine, but I don't even really drink that anymore because that also like tends to trigger my headaches, and it's really not worth it. The gin and tonic is sometimes
That's
worth
really
it.
not worth it.
I know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
the wine is just like not worth it. So it's like I have a little bottle of wine that I use for like cooking, you know, sauces. Like if I'm gonna make a nice sauce or something, and that's it. I don't really drink it that much. But I might check out some of these non-alcoholic things, just to see. So anyway, we don't
really should.
But
yeah. You really should. I think that they're like good. I think they've I've had quite a few friends who've had different ones, and like Sarah, when she's pregnant, she will get them at like most of the restaurants here, which I'm sure would be true in Philly too, but you don't go down to Philly all that often. Yeah. But like most restaurants here will have like non-alcoholic options, and so they're pretty good. Yeah. Give them a shot.
Right. May have to check.
You need to be careful about the sugariness. That's the thing that you're not gonna like.
You're right. I'm gonna hate that. Okay, so, but I'm gonna keep that in mind when I order, because they may have like descriptions of them, and like some of them may be sweeter than others, and then I can maybe like remember like, oh yeah, don't order the sweet ones because you won't drink them because gross. I don't like a sugary drink. I like cake. You know, like a cookie. I like cake.
I like my
I don't want
sugar in refined sugar format only.
Yeah, not in liquid format. Not in liquid format. That's all. Like, I like my sweets, don't get me wrong. I just don't like it in liquid form. That's all.
So, but okay, so we're here to not talk about liquor or non-alcoholic drinks. We are actually here to talk about our Feminist Book Club readathon and how it went. So, how did it go, like, overall for you, Sis?
Okay.
0 out of 10.
I would give myself, on a scale of like 1 to 10, like 10 being like I gotta like read all day, it was amazing, and 1 being I didn't get to read it all. Yesterday I was at like a solid 7.
Oh, nice.
Like yesterday was a 7. Nice. Today was like a 3.
Yeah. Well, and Friday was like a 0 for you.
Yes, Friday was an insane day.
Yeah.
So I think I read, I did. I started this, but this was the book for the weekend that I wanted to finish. I haven't finished it, but I'm going to get it done tonight, I think, before I go to bed, because I'm almost there. But I started.
Which I'm intrigued to know what you think of that book. I've read that book.
Have you read this book? Okay. I didn't know you'd read that. So I read like 1 chapter of that on Friday night before I went to bed, because like Friday, you're right, was a total wash. I had the craziest day on Friday. But I did hunker down and read a lot of it yesterday, and I'm almost done. I mean, this is the end. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to finish it tonight before I go to bed. So we'll definitely talk about that. So 0 on Friday, a solid 7 yesterday, like solid 7 yesterday, which was really good. And then today I ended up having, because I put off, it's midterm week, and I put off way too much grading, and I was putting my calendar together today for what I needed to do this week, and I'm like, I
might need to
that's
do
a lot.
Bit of this.
Yeah. So I actually just hunkered down like 3 hours this afternoon, just like got all my grading caught up, so I'll only have to like grade the stuff this week, their exams, and then do their midterm grades for them, and so it won't be as like intense. So, but I had to sacrifice reading time.
Fair enough.
Yeah. How'd it go for you?
If I was going to grade kind of on your scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
I would say Friday was a 5.
Okay, that's good.
Yesterday did not go as according to plan, but I think in terms of like the whole thing, it still went as a 5. Like about like half the day I was able to get some reading done. I should have been able to do more, but I was having an emotional crisis. We'll talk about that on a different day.
That's for a different day.
That's for a different day. And then today, you know, I work on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I was able to read quite a bit on, so I felt like today was like a solid 3. Yeah. 3 to 4. Like, because I did get quite a bit done listening.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah, I had the goal. My intention was just to read when I could read for the weekend, really. And then my goal was I'd hoped to get 3 books done, and I only got 2. And one of them had already been started, and it was pretty close to the end. So, like, and the other one's a book of poetry.
Okay. And we all know those aren't like a book like this kind of a book. Like,
no. So, but I will say I got so much further in one of my my wild cards, which ended up being an audiobook. I got on audio too, which is what I was listening to all this weekend, which I now have to pause a little bit because I forgot book club was this Thursday already. Yeah. Like it's like the 2nd of March.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, so I have to pause this book, but I got a lot further than I thought I would. Oh, yeah. Like not quite halfway.
You're doing good. Yeah. Is that a graphic novel?
No. No, it's really good. This was actually a recommendation from Amy when we were at, we went to Barnes & Nobles and we went around and she was like, oh, you should read that book. And so it is a celebrating African-American farmers' land and legacy. So they're like stories, essays, some poetry around Black farmers and the history of Black farming. And like, once again, yeah, you just, you know about redlining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, in the real estate history of real estate in America, and basically this is that same story, but in the FDA or from the USDA, from the farmers. You know, from that side of things, from the farmer side of things, and through the federal government, really just shutting out Black farmers and Black own, you know, from any sort of loans, and it's just like And there was a piece in here, I think it was actually Martin Luther King Jr., I'm pretty sure but like asking people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps when they don't even have boots. That have been, you know, this idea, this metaphor that's been taken. And I was saying to Lionel tonight, Lionel's my husband for those who don't know, but I was saying to him tonight, I was like, you know, and I grew up in Iowa, like this is farmland. Like I should know, my dad was a farmer, like for a while, not when I was growing up, but like he comes from a farming family. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I don't know it, but it also is just such a travesty that I am 41 years old. And for the first time, I mean, what was I, 31 when I learned about redlining?
Yeah. And
now I'm 41 and learning about the racist system that has like closed people out and just like absolutely destroyed Black families and their land ownership.
Yeah.
And that wealth gap is just, anyway, and Amy was right. It's really, really good. She listens to it, and I'm listening to it, but the book, because it is a beautiful book. So this is the front cover, right?
Yeah, it's great.
But it has all of these pictures in it, and I just gotta show you a couple.
It looked like there were pictures in it. That's why I asked you if it was a graphic novel, because I could see just a little bit, and it looked like there were pictures. That's why I asked that question. Oh, wow, yeah.
I love it. Like peek around the side, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like
a father and daughter who are like in Armstrong Farm in Bastrop, Louisiana, and like the pictures in this book are just phenomenal as well. So like definitely worth buying both, to be perfectly honest. Like was worth buying both. I would highly recommend this, Hattie.
Okay.
Look at that. Yeah. And as an Iowa girl,
I know, as like people who grew up in Iowa, it sort of pulls at our heartstrings a little bit extra for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is such an ingrained thing to think of farmers as white men, and like how
how like I need to break that stereotype, like that picture in my brain that when people say small farmers,
yep, I know.
Right?
Yep.
So I would recommend this, Hattie, on Audible, and if you want to borrow the actual hard copy when you're here in March, to take it to look at the pictures because they are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I would totally let you borrow that. So I got a lot further in that than I thought I did, but I do have to pause it, and now I have to listen to Trail of Lightning.
Yeah, I know. I haven't started it either. But, you know, I was looking at it, and it doesn't look like it's going to be, like, a super intense hard read. So, like, oh, this will go fast.
I was also thinking I could probably read it on Audible at a pretty high rate.
Yeah, because you read
at a high frequency. Yeah, because it'll be, like, the fourth time.
You could definitely, you're at, like, 1.5, 1.7, 2.0. You could do it pretty fast if you've already read through it. And it's like, it just doesn't seem like it's a super, like, you know, like, hard, dense book to get through. So,
no, it's not dense at all. No, it is like pure. I mean, in my world, it's pure entertainment.
Right.
I mean, there is stuff to learn, and like the Dene culture and like this whole indigenous world building is very different. It's different, but it's not. It didn't feel like, I think you and I've had this conversation. Like the when I started reading fantasy that was really based on like African religion and African mythology or Middle Eastern religion mythology, like it took a lot of reading it to really start to get it.
Yeah,
I remember the first time I read this, it didn't feel quite as difficult. And I don't know if that's because we actually have some,
maybe,
like, accurate or not, we have some picture of it from our spotty education. I'm not quite sure how to talk about our education.
I know. I feel like education in this definitely needs air quotes.
But I feel like I do think about, though, I remember reading at the Burlington Library. I would go to the Indigenous section of picture books. Like, I loved some of those picture books. Isn't that weird? Isn't, like, the things that you remember sometimes, like, so I don't know, I had like some foundation, but like the Oshi, like some of those, and the like Dijin from like
Dijin. Yep.
Dijin.
Genies. You know, it's our idea of
it's just like a whole world I just don't have any like basis on other than Aladdin, and I don't think that that's
that's pretty Disneyified. We'll call it Disneyified.
Yeah. So but yeah, it wasn't hard to understand the world building in that particular book. I didn't find. So I think it's not it's like great entertainment. It's like
well, I talked to Mom about it, and she said she really liked it, and it only took her a couple days to get through as well. So I was like, I wasn't sure how she was going to react to it, but I haven't read it yet. But I'm sure.
Told me she really liked it too. But the protagonist woman, I'll be intrigued to see how you like the protagonist.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll like her. Both me and Mom like her a lot, so I think you'll like her a lot. I don't, but I'll be intrigued just to kind of like hear your take on her.
Okay. We're gonna have like tag team book club because we're both like reading it this week. I was gonna see if I'm guessing there's no questions at the end since it's just a novel.
No, I don't think this is really a book club kind of book. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. Our book club's pretty good about that.
Yeah, we'll be fine. I was like, we can tag team, so you can just keep in mind things that you want to talk about. That's what I'm saying.
I will try my best.
We're both gonna be reading it over the next like 3 days before book club on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the books I did get finished. So.
Okay, what did you finish?
Let me tell you.
Okay.
I got this book, which is, I've been reading for a really long time. It's a book of short stories, which I am in this weird like short story world. Yeah, but it's called Night of the Living Rez, and he's a Canadian writer, Morgan Talty, and I highly recommend it.
Okay.
I will not say it's easy.
Okay.
In that some of his content is hard. And possibly trigger worthy or content like warning worthy.
Content warning, yeah.
But I think as a white American who doesn't have access to this life, like this perspective, again, it is like worth reading. And his writing's beautiful, and his characters are really interesting. Even in these, he actually uses the same characters throughout, but they're just these like, they're kind of, there's kind of like 2 or 3 different lines of characters, and they're different. They're not in the same, but like, so these like, this one family, you have like 4 stories of, and then this like one kind of 2 buddy kind of thing, and like you have like 3 stories of them kind of like, so that's kind of what it is. And I liked that. And I don't know if I've read a short story book like that before.
Yeah.
It is fiction. But I imagine it's based on a lot of life.
Real life.
And so definite I think if you want to try short stories, and you want to try short stories in a worldview that if you're not native or indigenous, and from that community, and you'd like to have some insight and windows into that, it was really good.
That's great.
But I won't say that it's like the easiest book to read in the world. It took me a long time because they were just very like, oof.
Yeah.
And then I did finish this book. So this is called Embodied, and I'm going to read the bottom part because I drink a little. So I have to read it. An intersectional feminist comic poetry anthology. So they took poems, some of them that were already written, some of them that are new, I think, and created graphic novel-like art to go along with them. And I can't show you many pictures because they are graphic and they're very sensual. There's a lot of sensualness within this. I really liked it. I really liked it.
Anna's like, I really like that one. Yeah. Okay.
I really liked this book. And I'm going to be honest, like, there's some of the poems I'm like, even with the pictures, I'm still not sure what this is about.
Don't know what's happening here, but okay. Yeah.
But, so there's the pictures, and then they do put the poem as it's like ordered, so I can show you that part. Hold on. Okay. I just kind of show you what that looks like. So like they do put the poem, however the author would
have written the poem in the first place.
Written the poem. They do put that at the end of it.
Okay.
But so that's really helpful actually, because sometimes I have to like reread the poem. But like this art, like this is just
it's like the picture and it has part
absolutely beautiful art in the midst of this.
Yeah.
So this is something like I highly recommend this book. If you like poetry, if you like graphic novels, if you like feminist writing and like this kind of more sensual sort of poetic verse, it's beautiful. And like here's another one. This one I can show you.
Here's one I can show you. Oh yeah.
But you know, and every poem is a very different artistic feel as well. They have different artists.
Yeah.
And so that part, this is a book that you get to go back to over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There is one of the poems in here that I'm 100% sure is going to show up in one of my sermons one of these days.
Yeah.
Not the pictures.
I'm sure your congregation is going to love that, Han.
I mean, the pictures for this particular poem would be fine, except I don't think I can actually show the front cover.
Yeah, you can't show them the cover. Yeah, that's why I'm making people.
So I'll just read the poem. But it's called hold on, what's it called? It's called Good Bones by Maggie Smith. It's so good, sis. I might have to just send you the picture of it. It's a really good poem. But I did get that done today. So.
Nice. Excellent. Okay.
What else did you get read today?
You got stuff done. Okay. So I started the stationery shop earlier last week, but it was on my list. So I finished that. I guess I finished it maybe I might have finished it Friday morning or maybe Thursday. I can't remember. But anyway, Friday morning. I think I finished it Friday morning before I went to school.
Okay.
And that was like, this was a good read. This was a love story, which I didn't know when I picked it up, but that's fine. And obviously I wanted to pick it up.
You're the only person in the world who's like, it was fine. It was a love story. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have picked it up otherwise, but it's fine. I wouldn't
have picked it had I known that. But it was nice. People really love it. People like super duper love it, and I understand why people super duper love it. I'm trying to decide what I should say about
But
it
you,
for me.
you don't super duper love it, but you don't super duper love a love story.
A love story, yeah. Like, and it was like, I can definitely see why people love it, and I wouldn't like not recommend it. Like, I think you would love it. I think Mom would love it. Like, I know everybody in the world that I know would love this. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a really nice story. And you learn a little bit because it's in Tehran, which is sort of nice. So there's sort of like, well, part of it's in Tehran and part of it's in America. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm only struggling because, like, you don't
want to discourage people, but it did not like resonate with your soul.
It did not resonate with my soul.
But not to discourage anybody it might resonate with their souls.
It might, and it is a lovely love story. And the Wall Street Journal little thing on the bottom says a powerful love story. And I definitely think that a lot of people would think that about this book.
Okay.
So yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
I don't want to like. Does everybody die at the end?
Okay. I'll just. I don't want to spoil it. It's not going to spoil anything. Everybody dies, but it's because they're old. It's not like everybody like gets blown up or anything.
Okay.
Old
people die. Everybody dies. I think best love stories are dead people. But I'm also a weirdo. So.
No, you are a weirdo. And it isn't even that. I think the thing that it does that bugs me, and you won't be surprised that this is why I don't like it. I'm not going to say I don't like it. What I don't like about it is that it sort of like glorifies this like young love that's like really like super hardcore passionate, like this is the thing, this is my person, this is my life, this is it. And then of course that doesn't work out. And so so those two people go on with their lives, and like you're following the woman for most of the story, and she goes and and she sort of marries this very like stable person who loves her to death, who she loves, and then he goes off and he sort of has this very sort of like stable life with a different woman, and they have children and so on and so forth, and then they meet up at the end again, which I'm not giving anything away. It starts with that, so I'm not giving anything away by saying that. But I did feel like while they sort of tried, and I would say they gave lip service to the value of the kind of love that they ended up finding and having for their lives, that wasn't the thing that was, the young love was glorified. That like super passionate, over the top young love, that kind of love was the point of this story. Right. So now Hannah knows why I didn't love this story.
Yep, I know. And I would agree like you don't love a trope.
No, I don't. And very particular tropes bug the crap out of me, and that just happens to be one.
And that happens to be one trope that like, and I, on the other hand, although I think that trope is crap, I can enjoy that trope in a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can enjoy living into a trope like that.
Right.
I in real life, I think they're crap. Ask my confirmation students too. I don't think I ever told you this, Hattie, but I told my confirmation students about Joseph the other day.
Oh yeah.
And they were all like, at one point they were like, "You married him, right?" I'm like, "No, my husband's name is not Joseph. His name is Lionel." Like,
I'm not stupid.
Yeah, that like doesn't happen, people. That's not how this works.
I know.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Joseph was my first love. For those of you who don't know that.
And it was
like, nobody would know that.
Like what this is. It was like super intense, and like, and it was like that kind of like just super intense passion that like it happens to you when you're a teenager, when you're like, in your early 20s, like those things happen, right?
Feels, man. You got lots of feels.
It's like there's a lot going on, and I get that. And I wouldn't even say that I didn't, well, I don't know if I'd had it like quite like that, because I'm just like not that person, but like there was like an intensity to those relationships that like was different, even for, but like I think the thing that bugs me the most about it isn't that it happens and that it does, and like that this is a thing, but I think what bugs me about it is that like somehow everyone is sort of settling for not that. That everybody's
and that feel and that comes across as settling instead of deciding that this is actually worth my effort and time, and that wasn't. Like that was just what that was, and that was fine.
Yeah.
But it's not value judgment. And that, I think that's the part that pisses you, but frustrates you about those books, is that there is a value judgment to like what was true love.
Yep, exactly.
And what was settled love.
Yep.
It was love, but it was settled love.
Yep,
and it's
exactly.
like, you know what? We all settle.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't get into this without like a little bit more context, because our mother raised us interestingly. When it comes to love.
Yeah, no, we're weirdos with this, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, Hannah now knows why I didn't love this book.
Yeah.
But I would say, and like what Hannah was saying, like she could, even when you can identify these
Right.
tropes, a lot of people still like in a book and in this sort of
Right.
in this kind of situation, it's fun to sort of live into it.
And to supersede, like to suspend reality and like the truth of our life is almost fantasy. Like it is a way of living in fantasy for a little bit. And like I am a big proponent of that. I love me a romance novel.
Yeah.
Hattie hates a romance novel because it is pure fantasy. No matter how well done they are. And I have like some standards these days. I do have standards. But like no matter how well done they are, they're still fantasy.
Yeah, they really are.
And
like, and that's okay. Like, and I get that that's
okay.
A lot of people love that, and I'm not like a hater or anything. Like, I liked that one Jasmine Guillory that you gave me. That this is like the only book that I can name that's a romance book.
Royal Holiday.
It's the Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory, and I'm like, I enjoyed reading that. Like, that was like a nice, enjoyable like love story.
It's also a mature love story by adult people, like
teenagers. You know how much trouble I have with the written teenager.
They're teenagers in that one. Well, they started.
Yeah, they started. Like that's when they, sort of fall in love as teenagers and have the whirlwind relationship and everything, and then it's in Tehran, and so there's a 1953 revolution in Tehran, and so this is what kind of like ends up making it so that they were engaged and going to get married in the whole bit, and then like the revolution happens and everything just goes to shit, and there was some other stuff going on too. But
that's kind of lovely. I mean, I get why. I mean, again, like if you can live into the trope for a while, enjoy the fantasy of the trope. Yeah, definitely. That's a library book.
I mean, like a lot of people love this book, so there's nothing.
It's a library book though, right? You got it from the library.
Oh, yeah, that's a library book. Yep. Okay. That's a library book. And then I'm almost done with The Year of Witching. Like I said, very
so tell me how you're liking that book. I'm so intrigued.
I wasn't sure how I was gonna like it when I started it. I haven't finished it yet though, so don't give any spoilers. I'm not exactly sure how it's all gonna sort out.
I'm actually not sure I remember how it ends, to be perfectly honest.
Okay. First off, I love the cover. I just, for whatever reason, the cover like really drew me in. FYI,
it's a beautiful book.
It's super gorgeous. And I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it after the first little bit, but then I was like, I kept reading, and I'm kind of like, okay, I feel like, okay, I care about these people. I care what's going on. Like, it's a little bit like, it's a little different, but it wasn't like offensive or anything.
No.
Yeah. So
there's a little bit of a love story in that book, right?
I think there is gonna end up being a little bit of a love story. But it's super subtle. It's just like they're friends, right? They're helping each other, and they know each other to let him help, and he's like, "No, you really need my help." And then now they both are in big trouble. They're like, it's towards the end, and they're both in big trouble right now. And so now I've got like 50 pages or so to like get that sorted out and figure out trouble. Get them out of trouble.
I remember at the end of that book. So that was one of my beginnings of like trying to read atmospheric literature.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a great Halloween book. I literally was like, I'm gonna put that on my shelf for Halloween. It's a library book, so I agree with you there.
And I'm gonna be, and you know that like atmospheric literature, and particularly like that goth kind of dark Halloween-y stuff is like outside of my. And I remember coming to the end of it and being like, I didn't hate that, but I'm not sure I get it. That's what I remember about that.
Well, because it's very like otherworldly. Like to me, it's like this isn't like the real world. This is sort of like it's a little like dystopian, but it's also a little bit like fantasy. It's sort of like I feel like it's
kind of like the Salem witch trials gone wild. Like
even worse, yeah.
Just like it's kind of like this mix between the Salem witch trials and the Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like the Crucible,
Yep.
and the Handmaid's Tale, and they smashed them together.
Yeah. Yes.
And I felt like, I think at the end of that, I was like, I think if I actually wanted to understand, and I give this up a lot to, like, when you don't read a genre,
Yeah.
a
Sometimes it is hard.
lot,
Yeah.
I do think it is hard. And maybe I'm wrong about that. That's an interesting thing for our community to talk about. Like, do you find that about, like, when you read a new genre, like, it's just a lot harder to, like, connect?
I think
Like, when you don't
I
have,
think
like,
that's true because you're not as enmeshed into it. You know, like you don't know all the subtlety things that are just sort of embedded into it because, like, you just aren't familiar with it.
You're not familiar with it. And I felt like that when I started reading horror. I actually think I read that one out of the horror world. Oh, okay. It kind of kept coming up.
Yeah, it's a little horror-y. I call it more
gothic. It's not really horror, I don't think, in, like, it's much more like gothic, witch, atmospheric. But
yeah.
But I would agree with you. I cared about the characters.
Yeah, I do. Like, I care about her, which is very rare. Oftentimes I'm just like, whatever about the people in these books. You know, I'm just like, I kind of like hate on characters a lot, but I do care about them, which I'm like, oh, yeah. I want her to succeed. Like, I care about her and Ezra. That's the sort of love interest friend person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think I might actually send you I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head, but it's River Solomon's second book.
Okay.
And they wrote a book. Their second book it reminded me a lot of that book.
Oh, okay.
But I actually liked it better. Gosh, what's it called? Oh, I can see it, but I can't. I actually bought it for Tabitha this year for Christmas. But it's by River Solomon, and it's not the first one she wrote, which is like a sci-fi ship in space kind of thing, but it's much closer to like this very closed, reclusive community, and this young girl leaves. And it is so good. Yeah. So I might actually have to send that to you if you like this book.
Okay.
If like you're intrigued by this book, I think you would really like that one. I've never recommended that to you because
I kind of blew through it in a weekend, really. I'm going to finish it tonight before I go to bed. So it's like, I mean, I wouldn't have done that if I was like, oh, this book sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I think of River Solomon as like a science fiction writer, but that's just because of the first book that they wrote.
Right.
But I don't think that they would be necessarily. I'm not sure that the second book that they wrote would be considered science fiction. It'd be, well, maybe. I don't know. It's in that, like, kind of.
Yeah. There's a lot of gray in there. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of gray area there. So, yeah. No worries there.
Okay. I think the last book that I just wanted to talk about that I've been reading this weekend is Redemptor by Jordan Ifueko.
Okay.
Ifueko. And this is the second, and it is just a duology. I wasn't sure if it was just a duology, but it is. From Raybearer, which, as we know, I read a lot of, I think this is still considered young adult lit. Fantasy. Yep. I read a lot of it.
Your favorite? Yep.
It is my favorite. Yes. But I don't love all of it. I don't like, it doesn't like speak to my soul. Raybearer is probably the first one that for a long time that I was like, oh, I love this book.
Yeah.
And this is the second one.
Yeah.
So I did not get nearly as far. I haven't gotten very far in it as I should have, really. Yesterday, I got stuck in YouTube. It's not a good place to get stuck.
That's a rabbit hole.
So, but it does happen to me sometimes.
Yeah, you do get into
but so far, it's really very good, and I'm really enjoying it still. And so I'm excited to see where Jordan takes it to the end for Raybearer. So if you do like a good fantasy, or if you're looking for a new fantasy and you haven't read Raybearer, I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Very good.
Are you reading anything else for the weekend, Hattie?
So I have another one that I have on there that this one was going to take forever to get through, but it's actually it's compilation of and it's literally like, it's amazing. I mean, there must be like at least, oh my gosh, I don't even know, maybe like 50 different writings in here.
Wow.
We got like, it starts with Christine de Pizan. right? The city of the book of the City of Ladies. That's where it starts, you know.
Oh, I don't
And
know what that is, but it sounds really
no,
interesting.
you read her. You read her.
Oh.
And then like Mary Wollstonecraft, you read her.
I know Mary Wollstonecraft.
You would have read Christine de Pizan in theology class probably. We've talked about her. That's how I know you've read her.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
But Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Sojourner Truth. I'm just throwing out the ones that I recognize the name off the top of my head. Susan B. Anthony. But then there's people. This woman is from Japan. There's Sweden lady. There's Germany. There's Russia. I mean, just from all over Egypt. This lady, India. I mean, these are just essays and like seminal works in feminist thinking.
Right.
This is the Essential Feminist Reader, put together by Estelle B. Friedman. So I picked it up.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's just like basically, you know, essay after essay after essay from these like phenomenal thinkers in feminist thought, starting with Christine de Pizan, who was like what 1500s maybe 1405. You know, and up through I think the latest one.
She's that lady. She was the theology lady that I finally read. That I was like, Hattie. Yeah. Did you know that? I remember that now. I know what you're talking about. When I read her, and then I was like, did you know that this person existed? And you were like, yeah, Hannah.
Yeah. So, this is Christine de Pizan. She did, this is Treasure of the City of Ladies, which is maybe the one you read, or the Book of the City of Ladies. One of these two is probably the one that you read.
I think I just read an excerpt from her from one of my church history classes, and like that was enough to be like, Hattie, did you know that this person existed? And you were like, yeah. Kind of made me feel stupid, but
okay. Well, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Stupid, but I knew you knew her because I knew that you and I talked about her. You just had forgot who it was. That's all, just now. But
yeah, I forgot the name. It's been a long time, and I remember now that you say that, I actually, and I can picture the book that I read her in.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh my God, Hattie, did you know that this existed? Like, yeah, women in theology historically have been so silenced. Like, again, that is like a whole nother.
That's another discussion for another day. But yes, I know. But then, like when you do hear them, you're like, oh my gosh, they were there. This is 1405. And
the idea that they didn't exist. And isn't that it about the feminist thing though? Like the idea that these women did not exist, that they didn't have a voice, that they didn't find ways to have power and control within the systems that silence so many.
I know.
Yeah.
We don't have to go on about that. Anyway, that's the other one. This one is going to be on my shelf for a while because it's a big fatty, and I feel like I want to read every single word.
Right.
So this is probably going to get a renew at the library because it's a library book.
That's a library book. Hattie, I feel like that one needs to be a purchase.
I think I probably should just get it. I should just go down to
the shop
and be like, I gotta order this book because this is like gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna want to use like half of it in my class. You know how I am.
Oh, and then you could read it at your breakfast time when you do your breakfast. You could read like an essay a day and like just like really
absorb it. Yeah,
absorb it.
I'm reading that one that Mom sent us, by the way, for my breakfast book right now.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't started it yet. Is it good?
It's pretty perfect for breakfast book. And yeah, I can absolutely see why like Mom and Dad found it super like grounding and sort of like groundbreaking for them. I don't know that you and I are going to find it as groundbreaking so much as we're going to be like, yep. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's stuff that you and I have maybe sort of like on our own, just because of the work that we do, have maybe already sort of like gotten through some of this stuff. But
to be clear, Hattie, why don't you say what the name of that book is? Because I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Oh, no, I can't check my phone because my phone's on. It is something about steward, God's stewards. Oof.
And it's written by a woman.
It is. You want me to go get it? I can go get it.
Why don't you go get it first?
We're having a whole conversation about it, and we don't know.
And I'll tell a little story about it while you're gone. So what this book is as many of you know probably by now, our parents are deep readers as well. Like this is where we come from. And so our dad and mom have been reading a book during their morning devotional time. And they were so moved by this book that they actually ended up sending it to every one of their children, which was just a really lovely, gorgeous thing. And they do this every once in a while when they come across a book that they like really feel is meaningful and something that they want to share with their kids. So they sent this book to every one of all five of us, and that book is
Guests of God,
right.
Stewards of Divine Creation by Monica K. Hellwig, with illustrations by Erica Hellwig Parker. I'm guessing their sister would be my guess.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Never let me illustrate anything for you, sister.
Yeah, no, I know. The illustrations are sort of like simple, like picture or pencil is what I meant to say, like sort of
nice pencil drawing. Yeah,
charcoal pencil drawing, that kind of thing. Yep. And like here's another one.
But if you do ever wonder why Hattie and I are such book nerds and like where our love and like value of books come from, it is from our parents who do this kind of thing. And when I'm trying to think about the last book they sent or that they gave to all of us before this.
I think, well, this was a long time ago. Did they send us all the Enneagram one or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, Dad did do that one. The like, what type are we or are you? It's about the couples, the Enneagram couples one.
Yeah.
I have done this as well for my brothers and sisters. I do believe I also bought us the AA Bible.
You did.
One year.
Yep.
So it definitely has passed on to generations.
Yeah. Hannah is.
Whether they like it or not.
Well, and you buy everybody books at Christmas. You know, it's a thing. Like, it's definitely, it's a thing. Yeah, it's for sure.
But,
so, anyway. But we should probably wrap it up because it is almost 8:45 now, so.
Oh, good. I'm glad someone's paying attention to time. I'm honestly not paying attention.
No, well, you don't have the clock. I have the clock on mine, so.
You do. You are the clock. You are the time
clock monitor. Yeah, I'm the time monitor in our.
All to say, I have to say, I'm just going to say this. The Feminist Book Club Readathon has been an excellent exercise and one that I think we'll do again.
Yes, I think so too.
For sure. I just enjoy the intentionality of it.
Yeah.
So one of the last questions that they asked was like, what have you learned from this weekend? And the thing I answered was like that I can be intentional without setting a very specific goal.
Yeah.
Which requires me to come to the end of the weekend like, okay, I was intentional of choosing to read or not choosing to read, but I don't have self-judgment about it. I don't feel bad that I didn't get all 3 books finished. I don't feel bad about it at all. I mean, I work for more than half the day on a Sunday. Like,
exactly.
So I think really, and I'm going to say like the Feminist Book Club's community is really kind of great. And I've been how do I want to say this? I've been passively watching because we got to be a part of that community on Mighty during this weekend for free. And it's really kind of lovely, and they do a lot of really interesting things. And so I'm excited to kind of explore that some more and see where that intersects for us as a book war as well, moving forward. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And what about you, sis?
I adore a great book list. So I have to say, like, my favorite part was literally just like combing through that amazing essential reader's guide that they sent out. Because like for you, like the intentionality is super important. And I just really enjoy like somebody else sort of curate. We curate, the books a lot for our people.
Right.
And so it's so nice to have somebody else sort of curate this amazing list of books that like, I'm going to keep going back to that list. You kidding me? That's a PDF. That's on my computer and it's going to stay there.
Right.
And I want to be going back to that and like picking up these books, and reading them along the way with that like sort of same intentionality, but just sort of moving forward and not, necessarily like on a weekend. It's just like, this was an amazing book list that like is going to last me a while.
And with that book list, I'm going to say, like, what was beautiful about that book list for me is that we've gotten to a point that where I realized how much I knew it was a good book list because I'd read so much of it. I'd read enough of it to know you guys have really good taste.
Like, they know what they're talking about. Yep.
Which is a learned thing, and like also to just be like, it's a trustworthy place. Like the feminist book club, your feminist book club is definitely a trustworthy place if you're looking for that sort of community. Like I uber trust them. That's a dumb word, and I don't know what other one to come up with right now, but that I think they're really doing an amazing thing when it comes to community and reading and learning along the way as well. So that's, I mean, for a lot of us, and I'll speak for me and Hattie when it comes to being white, cisgender females above 40, to be a place that actually like really, what's the word I'm looking for, Hattie? Not just supports, but like
doing the work. I mean,
cheerleads.
Oh, okay.
Like cheerleads for a voice that, and not cheerleads in like a tokeny kind of way, but like this is the voice. This is who you should be listening to, and they're doing a great job and some amazing work. So definitely somebody to follow. Yeah, worth following.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I'm super happy we did it for sure, and I look forward to doing it again next year and sort of just having an
plan on it.
Be like, I'm just reading this weekend, babe. So,
I'm sorry, you can't bother me. I'm reading.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
Exactly.
Next
kind of nice.
Next week or next year, Hattie, we should both get like an Airbnb and go somewhere else other than our own house.
Elsewhere and not bring my computer. I just planned it very badly. I didn't do enough work last week. I should have done more work last week, and I didn't. So
we actually could do it together somewhere. That would be fun too.
Mm-hmm.
Girls trip.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I thought you meant. That's what I thought you meant. So.
Well, it's not exactly what I meant because we live so far away from each other, but now it is what I meant.
But now it is what you meant. Now that you thought, yes. Okay, we will have to brainstorm on that, work on that. We got a year to figure it out. So yeah. Okay.
Thank you for anyone who is still watching.
Sorry to anyone who is still watching.
We do really appreciate this community and all of you. And Hattie, we're already to 190 followers this morning.
That's
as I checked.
Amazing. We're getting there.
We're almost at 200. So, I mean, I know that seems really small in the world but for me and Hattie, that is huge. So thank you.
We're gonna just call it a win, and you got to get to 200 before you can get to 500, before you can get to 1,000. So
that's it.
There you go.
That's what it is. So, and again, we highly recommend Your Feminist Book Club at Your Feminist Book Club. Go over there, like them, subscribe to them, read the books they tell you to read. It's definitely worth it. We're actually going to try and get one of their monthly book clubs or books later this year. As a bit of a follow-up, we'll be reading those together. So
that's gonna be great.
I forgot we were going to do that too, but it's a good idea.
That is.
And and like and follow us, subscribe, find us on all the different places, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good night, everybody.
All right, good night, everyone. Have a good Sunday. Bye.